Here we go. Hi and welcome everybody. Super happy that everybody could make it to our very first secure front-end chapter meeting. We do have an agenda in place, so let's jump right into this. Let me just grab the screen. I've been using this as kind of a template to collect a couple of thoughts over the last few weeks. So what was the first thing? Yep, docs. How do we want to be represented on our secure group docs page? Is there anything we would do about it? Because I've been thinking about drafting an MR. Alexander, you had something to add to this?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you know if there's any other chapters inside GitLab?
Not that I'm aware of. I think we are the very first, because it's not too, we're basically doing the whole chapter thing because we are, parts of us are working in quite isolated full stack teams. And I don't know about any other teams at GitLab outside of Secure, which are following the same structure at this point, at least.
Yeah, and I'll second that. I think that Secure is in the unique position that we're all security related, but then the stage is so large that, you know, necessitates a chapter. A lot of these other groups are more self-isolated, and then if there is cross collaboration, it's usually as required for a particular feature. And you have these, like, you know, the closest thing I think we have to this is a working group. Is sort of. But those are more aligned along a common interest of, let's say, the MR widget extensions. But then I wouldn't go as far as calling it a chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. And a chapter kind of includes like people from the same craft only, more or less. That would probably be the main difference to a working group.
Got it. Cool. And then my suggestion was there's a secure, I see you're on the Secure Architectural Council site or a part of this page, and I was thinking this sort of feels similar, where it's a group within the group, so we can maybe just put it underneath this thing.
Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing this up. I did not discover this yet, but this, for me, this sounds like the perfect format. I don't know about you. Any thoughts on this, Fernando? But I think that would be a great place.
I think, though, to your point, the Architectural Council, would that meet the criteria for a chapter? Just so we don't have this kind of in the docs, right? We're gonna have like a section Architectural Council, then chapter, and then council. I would be more inclined to maybe see if we can see if Architectural Council fits into this framework of chapters. What were the other terminology in there? Because if it's not a chapter, I'm sure it is aligned closer to, do you remember, maybe Yannick, you're a little bit more familiar, there's a diagram in the original issue where they had these other constructs, right?
A tribe? Was that another thing?
No, let me see. Is it Spotify that did that? Okay, so the Spotify model, I think it was tribes. So yeah, so there's tribes, squads, guilds. Does that Architectural Council, there you go. Does that Architectural Council fit into something? And then maybe just so we could standardize it, because my only thing with the docs is we introduced this idea of a front-end chapter, which is fine, right? That's what we're doing here. And then we have it right next to like Architectural Council. I think Architectural Council can fit in this framework, and it just so we could be consistent with the naming, maybe we propose that to the Director of Engineering, just so we are consistent. But yeah, that might be beyond the scope of the meeting, but just a thought if we're talking about docs and where this is going to live.
Gotcha. So how I understand you is that it actually you'd agree on putting this there, but we might, or the Architectural Council might reconsider their naming and see if they can actually adapt to this model we're currently seeing on the screen.
Yeah, and just I mean, we don't have to spend much more time if you guys don't want, but I was going to ask, what do you guys think this would fit into, like the architectural council? Just curious, would this fit into, would this be more of a guild or more of a tribe?
I am missing some background information on what they're actually doing or consisting of.
I think the intent was the architectural council was that if there were any cross-group collaboration that would have to happen within the secure stage. So this could mean any of the analyzer groups talking to, other analyzer groups, or just analyzer groups working with Threat Insights group. Any cross-team collaboration that is within the secure stage itself was the intent of the architectural council. So I think really we need to stop and see, well, all the analyzer groups, are those separate tribes or are they separate squads, right? So I think maybe for another time, but we would need to start categorizing, well, are the analyzer groups tribes or squads, right? And then where's Threat Insights fit in? Is that a separate tribe or is that a squad within the same tribe? So once we start defining like maybe those kind of definitions, then you could say, well, who are the people who are interacting in this architectural council? And then based off of, I guess the primitives, like the kind of like what we're defining each group as would fit in this higher architecture. But that I don't know, maybe this is too much right now, but just food for thought in terms of the docs.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning this. I think it would probably, following this model, most likely be a guild, but there is a lot of room for arguments on this. So one or the other. And yeah, let's so to put this together, let's put it in the docs, put it just next to the architecture council, and maybe give some of them a ping, and yeah, educate them about the model we're using, the scaling agile model, and see if they might consider renaming themselves.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and they do have a Slack channel, so we could just drop it in there.
Awesome. Moving on to the next point on the agenda. Is anybody familiar with GitLab groups or aliases? Basically, what I'm speaking of is pinging a group with using @secure frontend chapter, or what this might be. What would actually need to happen for this to be possible?
As far as I know, we just have to create a group within GitLab. And then I remember seeing these things, they're just empty, and the members of that group are whoever gets pinged when you do the @. But I think that's quite easy to set up.
Gotcha. Okay. How do we feel about having something like this in place?
The alias, I think. No, definitely helpful, because right, we have aliases for within our own analyzer groups, but if I don't want to remember to ping 5 different aliases, is like what kind of sucks, like process wise, is that they let everyone at GitLab generate their own alias, which I feel like they should have standardized the format. So I don't know, some people have first name, last name, some people have completely made up handles. So it's easier via an alias to ping the entire chapter than to remember. And then I feel bad if I forget to ping someone because I forgot, to ping, so aliases, and it doesn't hurt, right? Like creating aliases and issues are cheap, right? I mean, it is it doesn't cost us anything really much to do that. So we have it as a resource. I think we do want to be cautious about how often we use it. So maybe what we can do is clarify examples of when it would be good to use an alias to encourage teams members to use it. If other than just saying like, if it's involving cross analyzer groups or things with Threat Insights or whatever, maybe defining some general guidelines for when we recommend using the alias for the chapter would help encourage its use. So
Sounds fantastic. Before we do that, we maybe want to discuss who we're actually gonna involve with that alias, because well, the three of us for sure. I'd say probably all of the front-end devs within Secure, whether they like it or not, I guess they can opt out if somebody feels doesn't feel like they want to be a part of this. But so I would put all of them in, but that would probably be it. Like what I heard from Neil or any other engineering managers within Secure, they are not particularly interested in contributing to the chapter, which is absolutely fine. So I guess that would be all the front-end devs, or do I hear any other opinions on this?
I think what's the easiest way to here's what we should do. We should just we're creating a Slack channel, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I think we should do. It's not what we should do, it's what I think we should do. Need to clarify that. I think we should drop this idea in the Slack channel and be like, who wants to be part of this group? And then people can opt in.
Sweet. Let's do it like this. Yeah, the Slack channel is already in place. So I'll post something as soon as I have the group ready. That should be okay then.
There's 14 people in there?
Yep.
Who is this? Who's all in here?
A lot of devs. And 1, 2.
We do have more devs than I thought we did.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 4 EMs and 10 devs.
Got it. Yeah, they should opt in.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it'll just be no noise for people who are like want to be involved but don't want the.
What do you guys feel like? I don't know if people have done this, but like only allow like making chapter more exclusive, so we're less interference. Not interference. So we want, one of the core values for GitLab is transparency, right? But encourage, because like really when I ping someone at the front end chapter, I don't want everyone else who is not a front end chapter member to get annoyed or to get those. But I guess to be fair, they subscribe to the channel, right? They could always unsubscribe if it's too noisy for them. I think.
Yeah, do agree. And honestly, like this could maybe be a handy tool and maybe just temporary. Like if I imagine to be a designer here at GitLab and for whatever reason in a specific time I'm working super close with frontend, then I might want to be a part of this. And whenever a certain project is done, I'll be like, okay, let's step away from this a little. So yeah, giving people the option to is probably a good fit. Sweet. So let's do it like that. My last point on the agenda is that Neil dropped the idea to continue having planning issues for the chapter. How do we feel about this? And Fernando, there was something with that.
Sure. So this comes from prior experience, prior to even what Neil was suggesting, because let me share my screen here if I may.
Yep.
So I guess before I share the screen, just some context. Before, many years ago, I guess like 3.5 years or so, we had a front end planning issue not even stage wide, it was for the whole org, for just front end. The team was much smaller, but still larger than what Secure was. And it just became very much like inefficient. So what would happen is there is a kickoff issue. So before the milestone, what people would do, all the front end devs, every single one of them would have to edit the document and comment in the thread and lay out what they're working on that milestone. And it just became not very practical to put that together all the time. And you have to like manually, do this statically, right? You have to go in and link stuff. And then that could become out of date because maybe priorities shifted or you take on new issues. And then, once you had the kickoff, if you take on a new issue or things you have to prioritize and moved around, you would update it, but then there's no guarantee that a developer would go back and actually revisit the issue, right? So it wasn't very effective, I think. I think it's good from a product engineering manager standpoint, you know, to make this available to the team, and that's the document they're referencing to keep track of everything, which is great. So then the question becomes, who's creating that and putting that together, right? And I think in GitLab, I'm always favor like dynamic data, right? So, you know, stuff that's up to date. So with that said, what I had been proposing was, this is not quite perfect yet, but I added this, right? So these are links pre-filtered to particular groups, and it's accessible here. So you click on this. So it's already thread insights, label, front end. This is where it's kind of broken, because milestone, if I set it to like current or upcoming, the data, the query times out. But if we just update this to 13.9, right? I know what thread insights is working on, and there's 3 pages worth, you know, and keeping that tracking the issue is a pain in the butt. So if you click on composition analysis, same thing, 14.9. Here are all the stuff for composition analysis. So me, this is self-service, right? You go in this list, if things get moved out of the milestone, it will be updated in the query. And we have it here broken down by groups. The nice thing is with this, we could build compound ones, right? Because like, for example, let's say this is just showing, you know, by analyzer, right? I could add another link here very easily and then just update the query to be, you know, label group composition analysis, and I could add all the other labels for the for all the analyzer groups. So then I could even add a new filter here and then add it like right, you know, here, and then basically this is just these filters, but then just with anding it, right? Or sorry, or so just like, or, you know, label DevOps secure, DevOps protect, whatever, and then it's self-service, so we always have that as a point of reference. And then going beyond that is if we just take these links and then just attach them to the top of the Slack front end chapter description, because I've seen groups do that. So like, for example, the when they do security releases, they'll have a link at the top, and you can embed GitLab issue links to, let's say, their next security release. So that's an easy way to like have a one place like to get this single source of truth. So my recommendation was to use, you know, we keep these links here, and then you could self-service, like go access and see what everyone else is working on. And maybe it just is a like, you know, engineering hygiene, right? Like what you do at the beginning of each milestone is just kind of click through here, see if anything catches your attention, or or you access it through here, or you access it through the description in the Slack channel. That was my suggestion, because it just, I don't know, I think it's more efficient personally than trying to manually cobble together an issue and keep that up to date in sync, and it's just too much overwhelming otherwise, you know.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
That sounds like a reasonable approach, and I'm with you on the downsides, like a planning issue has, because it's just kind of hard and a lot of work to maintain, and might not even be worth it, because I see our chapter leveraging each other and collaborating kind of occasionally whenever there is something. So I'm not sure if I'd be interested in what everybody else is doing all the time. Might be happening from time to time, but a shared planning issue is probably over the top. So yeah, kudos to the idea of sharing this in this document. I do like it.
Yeah, I like it better too. Let's do it.
Awesome. What else do we have on the agenda? Fernando, you want to say something about bots and statuses?
Yeah, sure. So let me make sure I'm not muted, and then also stop sharing my screen. This is okay. Yeah, so I had brought this up before, maybe like a year or so ago, before we were even split up like this. And the problem is just Geekbot can post to multiple channels, but at the stand-up level, we can't do it for certain individuals unless we have the front engineer belong to their own stand-up config. Not sure I've never seen the dashboard or the management side of the screen, but I think the problem was that Neil looked into it, and I don't think he was able to configure it in the way we wanted, where the stand-up status, I know right now we'll post to, we were doing it to post to the analyzer groups. Like, sorry, we had our own channel. So for front-end analyzer, we had one, but I know that would propagate and get reposted automatically to the secure stage one. So I don't know how configurable this is to not only post in secure stage, but then in the front-end chapter one. So I don't know how that dynamic works and the permissions involved. But from my understanding, it wasn't doable. So I'm just taking that as fact. But if we want, I guess I could try to, as an action item, try to look into that further. Maybe just look on some forums for Geekbot in general, or maybe reach out to their support to just get an idea of, can we do something like that? Or maybe even talk to, I could ask my new engineering manager, Olivier, from his side of things, if he's able to do it. But there's a technical limitation. But the idea was that having a separate stand-up chapter channel, I mean, it'd be kind of noisy, but at least if there's a particular person you were tracking because they had brought up in this meeting that this milestone, they're going to be working together, on something that may overlap or impact you. Anyway, I guess that's my rant. I guess what I'll do is an action item. Maybe, do you want to have a section down here? Like what is the team thing? Like just documenting that here, and I'll just see, to follow up on Geekbot stand up.
I have also seen, I know Threat Insights right now has a stand-up bot, or uses Geekbot, and their posts go to the Threat Insights stand-up channel, but I do know that they get propagated forth to the secure stand-up channel, wherever that is. I muted it somewhere. Anyways, so I don't understand. Wait, I don't understand the technical limitation here, because it seems like propagating does exist. Are you saying propagating doesn't exist for select members of a team? It's like an all or nothing, or?
Yeah, I don't. That's where it was like, the way I approached this, I asked, can we do this certain scenario? And then the answer is like, I don't think we can. The exact technical reason, like, because I don't have access to that management view, like to managing it, I don't know the answer to that. So that's why I was proposing that I'll follow up on that, through my, I guess, leadership or forums or whatever avenue I would need to try to see if we can do it. So I don't, yeah. And then if we can, to clarify why we can't.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, I don't know who, we talked about the docs, right? Like in the agenda, we had mentioned things about like, who wants to own that, or is it a collaborative? I just didn't know what to put here in the action items. It's like document, suggested use of Slack, Slack, GitLab aliases, sorry, I'm just putting my name because I'm writing it, but whoever, if you want to work on that piece of it, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I'll look into it. But is it?
I'm having troubles getting my head around point 3 document.
Oh, yeah. So like, remember earlier, we had mentioned, I guess the notes. I'm trying to see. I think documenting like good examples of like when we should use the alias, like we were trying to encourage the use of it. So like maybe guidance in the docs to be like, these aliases exist for the front end chapter.
Now I see. Okay, yeah, gotcha. That's actually a great point because, and I'm happy to take this on, is update docs would be definitely a action item, and what you're just mentioning would probably go in there.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I think however you want to word it. Yeah.
You have to do an @ symbol.
Doesn't that work out?
I thought that's what you were going for.
Yeah, there we are.
I was
Did
like,
you
there's
also?
no way Yannick.
One more time?
I was gonna make a joke, so go ahead, Fernanda.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to reuse the phrasing that was used in earlier in the yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I think it was the pinging the architectural council to see what they think about the naming convention. I guess chapter, guild, tribe conventions.
So we're at time. But I think it seems like we know what we need to do, and y'all are just sort of like fine-tuning the action item wording here. But we didn't get to some of the items here. Might help to 5. No, we didn't get to 6 and 7. So why don't we just hold that over for next meeting, or we can handle it async.
Yes, I'm planning on handling number 6 async because it's about time zones to keep everybody involved. Let's do this in an async manner. But other than that, that was a blast. Thanks everybody for joining up, and I'll speak to you in the next meeting, and let's do the rest async. See you then.
Sure. Take care.
Bye.